Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. And we were talking, Kathleen and I were just now talking about relationships and connecting with others and deep listening. And how do you know? How do you know that in a conversation with someone you are deeply connecting with them? And you had asked me, was it that question you asked me, Kathleen, or something similar? Or how would you put it?
Yeah. Yes, that was one of the questions. That if our intent were to really listen, to deeply connect with another, yeah, one of the questions was, as you're actually engaged in a conversation or an interaction with someone, how would you know if that was happening?
Well, my first thought was that your own feeling might point to that. I think a lot of people would say if the other person felt connection or felt heard.
Mhm. How would you know if the other person felt connection and if the other person felt heard? Or could you know?
Well, they could tell you.
Yeah.
I could see different possibilities. Because you may be connecting with them, but they might just be so caught up in their thinking about, maybe they're angry about something. And maybe they're not feeling connected to you, but you could feel connected to them if you were
Yeah.
experiencing them without a lot of thought.
Well, the very first thing you said, Sarah Joy, was along the lines of you can know that you yourself are have accessed something deeper, that you're intending, you're feeling, you're listening, like perhaps that is the only thing you have control over. Where they're at, how could you possibly know other than to observe? I think sometimes there are indications, body language, I just get an energetic feel sometimes, but you can always ask, how's this landing with you? How are you feeling about what we're like, you know, lots of questions that you can ask to see. And I think great you pointed out that it certainly can be our intention to listen and connect, and the other person may not even be interested. They're in a thought storm, anger about something that might not even have to do with us as the person that wants to have a conversation, and they're just not in the space to want to go there. So I guess that would point back to like maybe a setup, maybe a just right in the beginning, saying, "Hey, I'd like to have a conversation that you know entails us really getting to know one another, or whatever it is, just to kind of take the temperature, take the other person's temperature, see where they're at." see if they're, and I'm kind of rambling here, but which I do. Um, it- and it might be, I mean, there have been situations where my mom's really upset about something. And it's like, I'm just going to let her have that. And I still like that. She doesn't have to change. She doesn't do anything but be her, have her experience. And I can still have the intention to connect with her right there with actually what is, and am I getting back like this, oh, this lovey-dovey deep, we're going deep together. No, like I don't have to even have an agenda other than mine, how I'm going to show up. So take it over there, Sarah. I'm sure there's a few things in there you can elaborate on.
Well, I had realized there's lots of times where I might be the one angry or ranting about something where the other person really listens to me. And so then I feel connected to them and heard, even though I'm all caught up in whatever. I just, but then the rant sort of, in that sort of situation, the rant often loses steam because you do feel heard. You no longer have the urgency to like, but you gotta listen. Um, so we kind of went through a number of possibilities. You're angry. There. um,
I love that you said that, Sarah Joy. Like
mm,
absolutely. What a gift it can be, and for us to be the receiver of, we're having some anger that feels like it wants to be expressed, and there's someone willing to just be with us, as we just immerse into that anger and express it. And um it's nice to have times that, sometimes it's a pillow that you punch, but sometimes it's nice to have another human being there.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was something. I think I'm not sure whether it was me or you that said this when we started just now. It caught my attention. Um, when you're with someone or experiencing someone without a lot of thought on them, so you're just with them, you're present, you're, and that seems to get to the um, core of what you were asking. So we were originally asking, like, how do you know if you have connection with someone? And if you're with them without a lot of thought, I think would be a way of talking about presence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's,
Yeah, because I think that's what we're looking for, really. We're really looking for presence with ourselves, with another,
and that
even
word
though there
is,
isn't another.
yeah, the word presence is sort of, it's used in a lot of places and teachings and authors, and it sometimes it, I remember I used to wonder what people meant by presence because it seemed that there was different definitions of it, and just be present. And it was something, yeah, just being with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think if we go back to thought, that whatever word we choose to use, whether it's presence or connection or being with, it's prior to thought. What we're talking about is life, is a lot, is what's here, what never changes, that being that we can, well, we're always that. We're that's always operating because that's who we are. But we can take our focus to that, and to bring the focus to the awareness of that we're aware. Thought has to kind of, well, it's helpful if it goes into the background. Actually, I've experienced it. It doesn't, I can still have a noisy brain. The mechanism of thought can still be operating, and I can see it for what it is, just a machine.
Hmm.
It's trying to get my attention. And I want to be with, I want to be in presence. I want to connect, deeply connect. I want to listen without thinking. That's what I think we're talking about. That, to me, that's this connection that we're referring to you to here.
The word just is coming to mind. Um, I'd written last week or the week before, I'd written a blog about deep listening, and I was comparing just listening to active listening, or how, some people will listen, comparative listening, or like listening for agreement. Do I agree with their statement? And every other type of listening, it occurred to me that there was a listening plus something going on. There was listening plus the do I agree with them? Or listening plus active listening, like to reflect back their statement. Or so they were doing listening plus. And in deep listening, it's aiming to just listen, like only listen. In connection or presence, it would be just being with them, just listening. Like you don't have that plus of filter of yeah, just present.
Yeah, that's it. It- Just just this, just life, because that's all there is. And then there's stories thinking and
And I also just now
it's
realized, I was gonna say, go on.
okay. Uh, well, as we're talking about this, it I'm struck again by how freaking simple it is.
Hmm.
Like how it's right here. There's nothing we have to work on. There's no skill of connecting. Like it's just what we are. And so there's absolutely nothing to do except to not be pulled away from that by this mechanism, this machine called thought, and stories of a me and a them and all that stuff. And like as if there's something that we think we need to do, reflect back, contrast and compare, see if what they're saying makes sense. Like, yeah, the mind wants to jump in and do that thing. And that's fine. We can even we can even like just let that happen. There it goes. Like call it the ego or the story of me or a thought machine is going to jump in there and distract our attention from just, like you said, I do love that word, just listening, just being with, just awareness of what's happening now. The word now is also coming to like presence to me has timeless. There's no there's no future, there's no past, there's just now. There's just this. And it is so simple. But it when you kind of see it, it's like you kind of go, "Huh? That's all there is?" Yeah, it's our nature. It's just it's who we've been since forever.
Yeah. The connection is there unless we cover it over. It's there to start with. I don't think we actually create connection. It's there.
Yes, Sarah Joy, that's huge because it said that in the early part of the conversation. Guess what? We were wrong. There's nothing to do to create connection as if it needed, because what you just said, it's already there. It already is. We already are one with all of life, and we're like, there they are. There it just is. It's our nature. It's nothing to there's nothing to create. Connection already is until we start making up stories about why it's not.
I'm just now realizing that when I am with a tree or nature outside with a tree, I am just with the tree. And I often feel very deep, beautiful feelings around trees. And if I compare how I am in relation to trees with how I am in relation to people, there's a level of thinking or expectation or something, a level of thought that's present with people and not with trees. And as you were talking, I was experimenting with dropping that layer of thinking, that it almost felt like a little film between you and me. And when I dropped it, it was like, oh, that's so much nicer. Now she feels like more just
Ah,
like it just felt like more just you and nothing in between. Um, but I hadn't previously noticed that I was doing anything different with people versus nature. So
oh,
interesting.
I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, thanks for thinking of me as a tree. I'd like to be a I grew up in Michigan, the blue spruce that I used to say, I love those pine trees that go all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
Or red maples. I red maple. But so what I think is this occurred to me as you were speaking, like we don't tell stories about these. We don't, but we sure do sure do make up stories about people. what
Mhm.
they're thinking, what they're going to think about me, why they're angry and they shouldn't be, and they're not listening to me, and I want a deep connection. And like, we wouldn't go sit under a tree. Hey, tree, are you paying attention to me right now? Because I'm saying something really important.
I was
No,
imagining all the
there's no
things you were,
tree story.
yeah. I was imagining if you were talking about trees rather than people. Oh, I'm worried about what they think about me, and I'm worried about that they're going to tell other trees that I'm a bad person, and maybe and it just looks so funny. I've never actually been concerned about how a tree views me.
I mean, really, it's we don't go to thought to to make up stories about trees. We sure do it with people and ourselves.
Or I've never had an
I should be.
expectation of a tree's behavior. Like, some trees, there's a forest across the road from my house, and some trees in that forest are dead and falling over, and they're not, or some are half alive. Some of them aren't the healthiest. Some are, like most of the forest is healthy. But I don't have expectations of like, look at that tree, they need to smarten up, or I don't judge the trees like, oh,
That's
they're not waving vigorously enough in this breeze, or
that's the word, Sarah Joy. Like, nature, it's like a judgment freezing. Like, you just y- you don't, like you said, you just walk into the forest, and some trees are on their way out. They're dying. And you don't judge the tree for what's happening to the tree. It's just welcome. It's all accepted. It's I'm with my mother and she's angry about something. Bring it on. Oh, like, I don't have to make that a problem. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting to anyone that they have a set of boundaries, that they want to just, lay down on the ground and let somebody stomp all over them. But if everything is the way it is, including people and trees, welcome, then how much easier see the next I'm just imagining the next person I walk up to. Red maple or blue spruce? Okay, they're a blue spruce. No judgment. I'm just here. I'm just here to see what are they up to? They how do they move when the wind blows their leaves? You know, this I can just see that, listen to that. I can smell them. If they could talk, I could just, hear the words, and then yeah. And I'm human. I'm gonna have thoughts, but I don't have to believe any of the thinking, and I don't have to be. Uh, I really don't have to go there. The thinking that is stressful or would lead to more me and them, or it should be different. I don't have to pay attention to that, because that thought machine's going to come up with that kind of stuff, probably. Less so now that I see its sneaky ways.
Yeah, it looks to me like I could be with people in the way that I am with trees, which is actually pretty big. Or
Yeah.
just like I just enjoy trees. So I can just enjoy people. It's not that I don't. I bet yeah, it's so interesting. Like, oh, yeah.
I, I don't, I mean, I think what we're talking about might result in me enjoying a larger of people, but there are some people I don't enjoy. I don't really enjoy conversation. I don't really, but I can be with that. So, like, to me, the enjoyment doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like,
Mm.
I can still make a choice to be the stillness, the awareness, be the presence, just be. And I don't have to enjoy it. And if I don't enjoy it, I might not repeat it frequently. But
I think
to
I'm
me,
using,
I think
I think I'm using the word enjoy different than you are.
okay,
Because I mean
I
it
bet you are.
more, I mean it more in the how you were describing um those other words.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
weird thing, but I
Anyway,
someone else. Well, I'm glad I said it because someone else listening might have taken this enjoyment word
okay.
differently than the way we're referring to it. Yeah, because like the enjoyment part, if there is one, is to to just be with what is arising. What that's like that to me is the enjoyment.
Yeah.
Not like, oh gosh, oh, I can't wait to, you know, she and me just like we're just like all obsessed about the same things and this conversation is so filled with joy. Not that kind of thing. Although
Yeah.
I do like to repeat those. I like to repeat those experiences.
Yeah. You can be present with anyone, and I would call that enjoying them. But I may not want to be friends with
Mm,
them or go over for dinner to everybody's house.
mm.
Or it occurred to me that I can enjoy all trees, but I'm not going to stand under a limb that's about to fall down if the tree is unhealthy.
Not I yeah. I highly suggest not doing that. Mhm. Well, Sarah Joy, I love where we went with this.
Yeah,
We go deep, takes on a whole nother direction today.
cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
See you
Bye.
next time. Bye.